Trap podcast. This week, we are very fortunate to having two sisters, Pauline and Clara, who are here to talk to us about their amazing company, Workwelle, and about their fantastic course on Ordopia. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Before we have a deep dive into your course and how we can help it get the recognition that it deserves, I'd love to know a little bit more about you, a little bit more about how you got into this space, and then we can go from there.
Well, thank you so much for having us. We're so excited to be here. So Clara and I, we are American expats who came to London about 15 years ago. And we came to do our postgrad here, and then we just ended up staying. Clara came about a year after I did. And then we kind of went into two different trajectories in terms of our careers. Clara's really passionate about film, storytelling, and my passion lies in creating amazing, memorable experiences for people. And so I kind of went into events management, and Clara did a lot with film in front of and behind the camera. And that's how we got kind of started in our careers. And then after a few years of working, we just decided that we always felt that pull to work for ourselves. And so we decided to freelance together and consult together. And we came together and created a kind of consulting business together. And through that, we started working with lots of different corporate companies. We started doing executive education, leadership development, and that's where we really started getting into supporting people and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and through there, we started working with businesses, working with mostly small female-owned businesses. So we would work with a lot of women who were moms. We would work with families. We would work, and then we also worked with larger organizations as well. But then we kind of naturally started going less in terms of like our individual ways of working, and we started slowly pulling more into like program management, project management. Oh, there she is.
Brilliant.
And the kids come up. We were working in project management, and we kind of leaned in towards executive education and leadership and development and support for organizations and organizational change and culture and behavior. So somehow we kind of fell into that work and that leadership development work, which was really, really great. And so we've kind of had this breadth of experience around in working. And we kind of noticed that, we would find a lot of women in that kind of mid-level tier when we would do programs. But then when you would go up to the C-suite and senior leadership teams, there weren't as many women there. And, that was kind of one of the things that we kept in the back of our minds. And then we eventually both became mothers ourselves, with one of the little ones coming in already ourselves. But we became mothers ourselves, and we truly recognized like just how difficult it was to hold all of it, to hold all of these things. When we both ended up going back to work after maternity leave, and we went back to work in executive education and program development and program management. And it was, we both really struggled in terms of maintaining it all, in terms of trying to figure out how to hold space for our work, but also to take care of our well-being. Just there's so much that is structured in the world of work that does not support women, does not support mothers. So we decided to take all of our experience and build Workwelle. And that's kind of where we are today. And so our course is about self-care basics for modern moms, because there is an element that it's not just about how you work, and it's not just about well-being, but it's like this holistic ecosystem of support, structure, emotional resilience, and nourishment that so many people forget, or, we don't want to talk about green juices and get more sleep. It's getting more sleep as a mom and telling you that's the way to get into self-care and to take care of yourself. It's like, okay, well, that's actually not really useful. So we wanted to find a way to help transform women and transform moms and support them in all the different ways of working and in this kind of this change of identity that they're going through. And because we went through it ourselves.
Wow. Powerful stuff. Guys, I absolutely love that. And it's definitely a great mission that you're on. I think it's really interesting, if you look at women who go through postnatal depression, the best advice that they get is to keep on working. Otherwise you lose your identity. So this is really valid, isn't it? Really valuable in this space. And I'm guessing that's your target market, isn't it? It's not just, is it just women, or is it women that are wearing many hats, should we say, being mum, businesswoman, friend, wife, whatever it might be. So talk to us a little bit more about that. Who's your like target audience? Who would this resonate to most?
Obviously, we really target mothers, but I think that any woman or person who's going through caregiving responsibilities where you give a lot of your time to someone else can resonate with this. It's not specific, obviously, like, we are moms, that's our experience, but parents, caregivers, anybody who's kind of responsible for somebody else really resonates
Amazing
with,
stuff.
with
So
what we're
look,
doing.
And we also found, oh, sorry, I was just going to say that we also found that there was a lot of space for, for their coaching programs and mentorships and that sort of thing for women when it comes to returning to work. But it kind of left out a lot of the other parts of it. I think there's kind of this new generation of working women that's entering the fold of people who are, they're not necessarily CEOs, they're not necessarily at the top level, they're not necessarily at the C-suite, they don't necessarily even want that. And there's, we're looking at Gen Zers and millennials who are working differently and their work life looks different. They're not necessarily they haven't been in the same corporation for X amount of years. They're working in a different ways. They need more flexibility. So we wanted to talk to that next generation of women. So as Pauline said, it's not necessarily, moms from this age to this age, but it's, for people who have, that we're wearing so many different hats that you might be a business owner, you might have a side hustle, you might be a digital nomad, you might be, working remotely, you might be working in the office, you might have, you might be an expat, there's so many different walks of life. So yeah, we wanted to support those women who maybe didn't have a traditional path or a traditional structure of support around them.
Powerful stuff. Just before I pass you on to Dan, what I really love about the course and what you've done is it's audio based, it's on Audopia, which makes it perfect for habit stacking. So if you think of mums busy, trying to multitask, in the research after this podcast, I saw that mums can make 40,000 decisions a day. If you think about that and they're wearing many hats, that's where an audio course is fantastic, because you can do it while you're driving or while you're walking or whatever it might be, which is fantastic. And I think that's so valuable in this space. So look, it's a great course. You're amazing people. We want it to be as successful as possible. So today you've got an expert in Dan Williams. Dan, we've already had a little look over their social media channels, a little bit about their course, a little bit about their target market. Pauline and Clara, are there any questions in particular that you've got for Dan?
Well, I think for us, it's really about how to get that maximum impact in as little time as possible. What we really struggle with is knowing what's going to move the needle and then having a system in place to kind of ensure that that needle gets moved, but that ensures that we're staying consistent in what we're doing, because consistency has been our problem, I think, with regards to our marketing. That's probably the key for
Absolutely.
us.
And moving the needle.
Yeah, so this is a problem.
Go on.
Yeah, this is a problem that a lot of people have. From a marketer's perspective, not only are you kind of helping a lot of people, you're also kind of in the perfect niche, because there's a lot of mums out there, a lot of busy mums, and there's not many people kind of giving real advice, especially mums themselves, actionable advice that is going to help them. So this is perfect. So we'll start with the getting ideas kind of side of things. A lot of the women you're helping, and even yourself probably, don't have hours a day to sit down, plan content or consume content as well. So when you do finally find time, it can be overwhelming, or like you're just throwing stuff out and hoping for the best, which is what a lot of people feel. So what I recommend for coming up with the ideas is what I call the micro moment method. So this is content that builds trust. It's based on real life, and it takes like 5 to 10 minutes max to create. So this is how it works. After a call with a client, or even like a deep personal thought during the day or in the shower, which is where most of my ideas come from, in the shower, you just got to jot down one sentence. There's kind of 3 options you can go here. There's a belief, a reframe, or a story. So a belief like doing less isn't lazy, it's smart. That could be a tweet. Anything like this, these ideas that just come to you. Or a story like, last week I almost cancelled a meeting because of my children. Here's what I did instead. Something like that is really going to resonate with the right people, and it's going to repel the wrong people as well, which is what you want, really. You're not trying to go viral. You're trying to make an impact, make some sales, and help people at the end of the day. So that could be a tweet, a LinkedIn post, a podcast, talking point, just ready to go out of the shower without carving out days. That's where I'd go with that. Also, every thought you have, every problem you solve with your current clients, share that. It's all ideas. And the goal with content as a whole is to show you know what you're talking about, and to help people up front to build trust and stay remembered. So the goal obviously isn't to go viral, it's to stay visible and be honest as well with yourself and with your audience. and you're going to attract the right people for you. So that's what I've written down for getting ideas. Have you got any questions with that? Any gaps you need me to fill?
No, that makes so much sense, because I think for us, as you know, as Greg, you've said, we are living that mom life every day. So much of our personal story is embedded into what we're doing and how we're trying to help women. So I think that's one of the things in terms of kind of creating that content bank that I don't think we really have like a system for that. So I think that's good. I think sometimes we extrapolate and think that it needs to be all these big things and these big moments. And then, but yeah, I love the idea of creating micro moments and just making it nice and easy for us to come up with content. Yeah.
Great stuff.
So, Greg, have you got anything to add?
I have. Me and Dan did a deep dive into all of your stuff, your message, your course, all of your social media. But obviously, I've also got to know you guys. And the biggest thing that I thought is actually you're really interesting. You have these great discussions and you've got this great relationship with each other as sisters. My advice is you turn that into a podcast, or maybe not even a podcast, but you turn it into a conversation with each other and then you record it. Because Dan, there's a real secret to this, isn't there, in terms of micromanaging, cutting time, saving time, is creating short form via Reels using Opus AI. Dan, do you want to talk a little bit more about that? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so for me, I create an email, at least one, maybe two, at the start of every Sunday. And that can turn into like 15 LinkedIn posts, 20 tweets, all just in like an hour of writing an email. So also you can use the thoughts that you've kind of come up with, like I've talked about before, as talking points for the email, and you can go off that. And it shouldn't be too hard to come up with the ideas, write them, especially as experienced as you are and with how many problems you're solving, like in the current moment. Obviously, as a mum, there's problems all the time. I don't know about this, but I'm sure there is.
Yeah. They're 100%.
Yeah.
So with every problem, there's a solution. And that's where you come in. That's where you add the value. That's where you build trust. For you, obviously, you're focusing more on Instagram, which is why I'd go down more the podcast route. So you can get those videos, you can get those audios, and you can use, like Greg said, Opus AI is brilliant. It turns it into clips. We probably get about 25 clips out of a half an hour podcast, which is really good. You could get, even if you got 100 views on each of those clips, that's a lot of views in half an hour. So that's efficient. So yeah, that's my answer to that question.
And so would there be like a limit to the amount of platforms that you would say that we should really focus on, or, is less more, or should we try and just run the gamut of all of them? I mean, what would you say with regards to that?
I think you're doing the right thing with mainly focusing on Instagram. That's where your target audience mainly is, especially because they're like, mums aren't going to be scrolling LinkedIn for fun, really, are they? So you're not going to be finding them there. There's no point posting on places that they're not going to be, or that you don't even like posting on. If you don't like posting on it, don't bother. I think because you kind of are your own target audience, if that makes sense. So you obviously know them better than anyone. Definitely focus on the Instagram. You might as well, if you've got the videos anyway, go for the TikTok as well. Literally, it's gonna take an extra 5 seconds, so that's even added efficiency there. What other platforms are there? There's Twitter. You could go. Twitter is an interesting one. There's a lot of people on Twitter. It kind of links in with the thoughts that you were having before. Those micro moments is so easy to just post a tweet in like 8 seconds, and you can go back to your own tweets as well and kind of turn those into emails or podcasts, anything like that. So yeah, I would stick to the Instagram for now.
Good point.
Yeah. Twitter's definitely something we haven't really explored, but
Well, you're with the expert.
Yeah, it's definitely
Dan is the expert. Do you know what? I think it's a good time to ask Dan actually a question where I can include both of you. We've done it as like a mini game in the past, Dan, haven't we? I think, guys, if you tell us who your perfect client is, I know you've already done it. I almost imagine you're building a character, what problems they've got in their daily life where your course would be great. And then Dan, I think, would be great at creating a hook. What would resonate? What would be the best thing what platform would it be best to put that message out on, Dan? What hook? What caption? What CTA? How many hashtags? All of that. So look, guys, tell us, I know we've talked a little bit already about who this would be great to, but just give us one person, paint the picture. What problem are they going through? Why your course would be great? And then let's hand it over to
Pauline, do you got something? Because I'm thinking something. Are we thinking the same thing?
I was thinking the postpartum mom who is dealing with the crisis of identity that she's
Yes, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
Okay, yeah. So basically dealing with the crisis of identity and is about to return to work, and she's feeling guilt over needing to go back. She doesn't feel ready. She feels a bit like an imposter. And she doesn't feel like she has the same.
So she's still ambitious and she still wants her career and wants to move forward, but her priorities have changed. Her identity has changed. So much has changed after having a baby. And now she's questioning the path that she's on. And we're like so totally in sync because we were thinking the same thing.
This is why we work together.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So let me have some time to think. I'm going to just talk about hooks. So hooks, first 2-3 seconds of your videos or your writing, they're the most important thing, really. They're going to attract the people that you want to attract, and they're going to repel the people you want to repel. So very important. I saw one actually on your Instagram, which was like 7 mini habits that help me as a working mom, which is a great hook. It's being relatable. It's showing who you're targeting up front, and it's valuable to the people you want to resonate with. So that's kind of the perfect hook, really. You don't really need help, but with that example, I'd say kill imposter syndrome postpartum, something like that. Just a quick, short, concise, and it's going to resonate with the people you need it to. Keep it simple and go from there, really. I think you've got to think also, what would you stop scrolling for? Because obviously you're your own target audience. So yeah, that's where I'd go with that one.
Amazing.
I like that. Gonna take that.
I've got another question.
Thanks.
I've got another question for both of you. That sort of question is where I think it'd be great to create a podcast, talking amongst yourself about the daily issues that you've got, how you feel, how you got over it, what habits you created, advice for each other, a general chit chat. You turn that into a reel. Only takes one person to stop scrolling down. Does it go, yeah, resonate? That's me. Okay. And then, so Dan, there is a method to this, isn't there? Dan's the master at this, but the method of a hook, creating a main body, which almost nurtures the person, introducing your course and a little bit about you, and then a CTA with, maybe hashtags or no hashtags. Dan, that's always a big question for me. So imagine you've, it's a big question. Dan openly likes to message me and say, no, that's too many or not enough, etc., etc. So, Dan, talk to me a little bit more about the structure of one of these reels. So imagine they go away and make a podcast or a conversation. They record it, put it on YouTube, clip it, okay? It's got a great reel saying, like, how did you manage to exercise this week with everything that's going on? Dan, talk to me a little bit, because I think that would be a question. I'm not a mum, obviously, but a question that a mum might think is actually, how do I fit in exercise within a schedule like this? I think a podcast would be great to talk about something like that. But Dan, how would you take that from the podcast, create a hook? What sort of things would you do with the main body, CTA, hashtags? Talk me through it.
Yeah, so I think with this one, it's very important to be as concise as possible. Very important to call out the person as quickly as possible and answer the question quickly as well. So I think with the podcast clips, you could just start with maybe a little intro saying who this is going to be for and what problem this is going to solve. Then it's just about solving the problem as quickly as you can. You're the experts in this, you know how to do that. And then with the CTA, I would do like a pre-recorded video with something like, if you enjoyed this clip, you'll love our community, something like that. You can join using the link. You could add it to every clip. It's going to be really efficient. You can record it once, and that's your CTA. So I think you've just got to not overcomplicate it. You've got to keep it simple, especially with the mums. You've got to call them out as quickly as possible. They're busy people, and so are you as well. So yeah, that's what I do.
Guys, I've got a question for you about your course and about your company in general. Do you have in-depth discussions? Is there like a clear DM strategy? Do you resonate? Talk me through this. How do they reach out to you? What's the conversation look like? Yeah, run me through that.
So when we started the company last year, we kind of did something a little bit unconventional, and we went to a bunch of different trade shows. So we went to the Baby and Toddler Show, we went to Stylist Live, and we just had conversations with women, and we just got the brand out there and started sharing with as many women as possible. We just had hundreds and hundreds of conversations because we had our experiences as moms, but what we wanted to do was just talk with as many moms as possible. And as Pauline mentioned at the beginning, her background and her, true love is about creating beautiful experiences and events and that sort of thing. I mean, she's, very quiet about herself, but she's, worked with NetJets and been at Art Basel and done these amazing experiences. So what we wanted to do was talk with women about how we could connect with them on a real level. We love holding conversations on Zoom and in our community with women. So that's how we talk with women in general. We kind of get them we have our community and our brand that you can join in our website. It's for free. And then there's just like virtual events that you can join, and we try to do coffee mornings and that sort of thing. So and we're trying to grow our events so that way we can just actually talk to as many women as possible, because that's one of the main things, is that people feel really isolated. But that's the other thing, so we don't really know how to do that, or maybe we feel a little bit, speaking of imposter syndrome, we feel like a bit like imposters doing that online. We don't want to feel too salesy, and there's a lot of noise out there in the mom space, and it's hard to kind of sell like transformation in the months, or there's no guarantee of making you feel better or transforming you. So I think maybe we've shied away from doing that on a larger scale, because we do really, really well in person and connecting with people, but I feel like we haven't necessarily translated that to a way of outreach in the digital space. Would you say that's right, Pauline?
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
that's really good.
Yeah,
and actually, that leads me on really well to the next point with Dan. I did pick up on that when I looked on your website, when I was really thinking about how would I sell this course. That would have been maybe my first port of call, but that's why I come up with the podcast. Dan, we know a little thing or two about communities. How would you go about this? Would you set up on X? Would you set it up on Discord, Substack, etc.? Tell me a little bit about what you would do, because obviously mums love to talk, but you don't want to create an extra task for them. You've got two people who can talk the talk, if you like. Dan, how would you set that up?
Yeah, so your community and your content already look really good. I think you should double down on the Instagram, keep going with that, keep funneling into your current community and use what you've already built. So you've built the trusts, you've associated yourself with being the solution for the mums that you're targeting. You've got two options with kind of turning that into people in your community or turning that into clients. So there's the traditional way, which is DMs, which is reaching out to the accounts which follow you or like your posts with something like, I'm glad you resonated. I know you're busy. I'm going to keep it concise. What's your biggest bottleneck in life or your career at the moment? That's kind of the DMs. That's where I'd go with that. I know Steve had a lot of issues with being salesy in the DMs as well. I think it's quite difficult because obviously you're actually solving a problem. You're kind of doing them a favor. You've got to remember that. So it's kind of a win-win sending the DMs. You're helping mums out. And if they don't want to respond, they're not going to respond. It's not that pushy. So then you've got the second option, which is you've got the community, which is very smart. I think all of this is good. It's just those final tweaks. So the second option is promoting that much more. It's obviously free. So why wouldn't people want to join and get that extra value, So you've got those verified, qualified leads, if you like, they're ready to pay for a solution and they're all in one place in that community. So that's a very valuable thing for you and for the people in it. So what I do is send DMs to the people that engage with your content or the people that you think you can help and ask them to join the community. I think share all the benefits, share all the past clients who've loved it and they've benefited from it. Just be genuine and no pressure with them. Because if they've already liked your post, they're probably going to like your community as well. You've got to remember you're helping them out at the end of the day. I think it's more of a mindset thing, really. Sending the DMs isn't a difficult thing. It's just being confident with what you sell and how you can help people.
I think that's something that we're really starting to realize is selling is serving, and it's not sleazy. It's not, especially when we're trying to help people and connect with people. It's definitely a mindset shift that we needed to go through in terms of promoting ourselves. So yeah, that's definitely something that resonates with us.
I definitely promote what you've got because I'm quite jealous of your website. Actually, it's really good. I'd get as many people on that as possible.
Thank you. That was a labor of love, and yeah, we did it on our own. So thank you. We appreciate it.
That's impressive.
No, brilliant stuff. There was one word of advice I can in terms of being sales. Absolutely. By the way, Dan Dan reads all my DMs and he does openly critique me on my sales technique from time to time. But Dan, we've got a very strong method, haven't we, when it comes to DM strategy? One of our first rules is actually we don't talk about it like Fight Club. But I can tell you a few little things. All I do is I spend 20 minutes a day. I set up a timer. I have this, I listen to SoundCloud or a mix or something and I dial in. Okay. And when it comes to that, is I just use it as part of my tick box formula, don't I? Every day, 20 minutes every day. And that leads into, I think, the situation that you've got. Two busy mums, you've got to wear many hats, maybe don't quite have the time. And there's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where actually, being a mum is number one, being a wife is number two. Actually, where do you fit in all this? So actually your company as a business in that Maslow's hierarchy of needs fits in down the scale. Eisenhower matrix, really powerful stuff. actually looking at every single thing you've got to do over a week and making it a priority. It's the first thing I do in the morning. You know, I walk my dog at 6 o'clock, I work out, but I'm dialed in every day at 7 a.m. And that's just one of the tricks, isn't it, Dan, into this is if you want it to work, then the sales is just a part of it. And that's and there's nothing wrong with being salesy. I think there's something wrong with being pushy, but being salesy and trying to talk about your product or your company there's nothing wrong with that. And actually, I think everyone would love to speak to you. You know, you two lovely women, two great sisters, amazing stories. I think the talk that you'd have alongside that would be great. But for me, Dan, I would do that in the community. Wouldn't you try and nurture them from something free in the community? Try and highlight one or two that can maybe be moved up, because that's a little bit what me and Dan do. Is we entice everyone in with something free, and then we move them up and up through like a tiered system. Dan, would you agree with that? So instead of trying to be pushy, you get to know them for free in a community and try and nurture them up a ladder.
Yeah, I think making the most of that instant communication with them, like they're definitely going to reply to you. Kind of, you're already doing your research, like in real life. Just ask them kind of what they want, and obviously you can solve pretty much any problem for them. So it's just about getting yourself out there, getting yourself in front of them. They already trust you, so you're kind of sorted with that. You just need to reach out more, stay confident, and solve problems. I think there isn't really a framework with this one. You don't need a framework, because as long as you're calling out the right people and you're helping them, and you're telling them what you've got to offer, that's all you need to do, and just be genuine with it. Because that's kind of your USP, kind of similar to me and Greg, is we're not trying to like sell. We're not normal marketers. We're not normal coaches. We just want to help people, and that's kind of what you've got to lean into. Yeah, I think with that.
That's a good point. It's a good point. Guys, absolutely love this chat today. I think just before we finish off for today, guys, where can we find you? Where would be the best place to look for Workwelle? Talk us through a little bit through that.
Yeah, well, from Dan's excellent advice, you can definitely see us on Instagram, and we're definitely gonna make sure that we get that podcast going. So hopefully we'll have that up and running, but we have our YouTube channel already ready to go, but we just need to get proper content on it. So it's at Workwelle and at Workwelle on Instagram as well.
And then you can just find us on our website as well, Workwelle.
Great stuff.
Don't know.
Am I back?
You might have gone. He's back.
Yeah.
He's back. No, just glitched out massively there. But it edits it out. That's the glory of AI, isn't it, Dan? Actually, I'm going
Can you hear it?
Try and stop that. I'm going to come out. 2 seconds.
A little glitchy.
While Greg's kind of doing his thing, have you got any more questions to ask? Kind of as many clips for us really as possible?
Oh, Dan, you've been so helpful. And I think, like, again, it's been really great to hear that that what we're doing is resonating and that we just need to keep going. I think we also kind of just needed that confidence boost too, in terms of like, yeah, it's a healthy path that you're on, and like what we're doing is working. Sometimes we get stressed out if we're not seeing the results straight away, but actually focusing and dialing in on that consistency and just putting out as much as we can in a way that makes sense, and creating the most impact. And that means like using our long form content, using our strength of just connecting, at the first instance of me and Pauline, and putting ourselves out there. I think we get a little bit nervous because we don't know if it's working, but yeah, we just want to help as many women as possible. So it's helpful to know that it actually is working and that the expert is seeing that. So
yeah. You definitely got to play the long game. Yeah.
I mean, I have just a quick question with regards to freebies, and kind of in your experience, what works best? I mean, obviously we have our free community, which we're trying to put out there. We also do have a playbook, like an ebook, which actually did pretty well, but we just don't know what, in terms of a freebie, I mean, are people kind of still interested in ebooks? Is the free community probably best? Or what do you see works really well as a freebie?
In general, people are. Obviously, I haven't been in contact with many mums with Instagram or anything like that. But I think what you could do is say, join this community and we'll give you the free ebook. That could be something that would incentivize people to do that. Definitely a lead magnet is in general a good idea, especially if you've already built trust with them, because your content's really good, your website's really good.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us on the Udopia Coach Trap podcast with the amazing Workwelle sisters. Next time, we have the fantastic Paul Elias coming to tell us all about his course, Rooted and Resilience. And until next time, remember, don't fall into the coach trap.